Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 4 of Uncanny Spider-Man, written by C. Spurrier. But before we dive into the story, I want to say thank you for watching my videos and leaving great thoughtful comments down below to help the channel grow. For without all your help, I wouldn't be doing this. And I'm happy to be bringing some value to my viewers, thank you. So with that said, this issue opens up with Spider-Man confronting a mob of people who are anti-mutants. And what this mob is currently doing is attacking a poor pizza delivery kid, a kid who is not a mutant at all, and his only crime is placing flowers at the old X-Men treehouse. Because to these people, anything that has to do with mutants is to be hated, and humans who care for them are just as wrong as the mutants themselves. So as things start to heat up, we skip over to Nightcrawler, watching this entire thing play out on top of a rooftop. And while he is sitting up there, he is having a small conversation with one of his tiny manifestations. And the manifestation asked Kurt if he was going to step in and help in the situation, in which Kurt tells the manifestation that he would not. Because this is what Spider-Man is good at, and all he will do if he gets involved is get in the way. So as the mob starts to get carried away, Spider-Man tries his best to de-escalate the situation by telling everyone it doesn't really matter what's in their DNA. Because at the end of the day, everybody is a person and deserves to live. So just as all that is going on, a sentinel arrives on the scene and scans the kid, only to tell everyone that the pizza boy tested negative for the X gene. So following that, the people who were wrongfully attacking the kid weren't too happy with the results. So skip back over to Nightcrawler, once again talking to his manifestation, and while they're talking we see that the manifestation is pretty upset with Kurt. Because he was wondering why Nightcrawler hadn't asked him what he is yet. Because a little manifestation truly believes that Nightcrawler is too afraid to know exactly what he could be, or at least admit that he knows what it is. So with that said, that wasn't the only thing the little manifestation was upset about, because he was also upset that Nightcrawler was staying out of the entire situation and not doing his part in helping fight for his fellow mutants' rights. So while the manifestation is telling Kurt to be more of a mutant, we see on the next page how the Sentinel begins to scan Spider-Man. And to everyone's surprise, including Peter himself, the Sentinel states that it detects an X gene. Now, with that news out there, the mob down below went completely crazy and chanted for the Sentinel to kill the mutant, referring to Spider-Man. So as tension rose, the situation went from bad to worse as Mystique appeared on top of a neighboring rooftop and fired an RPG into the crowd. Now this was something that Nightcrawler couldn't stand back and allow to happen. So within seconds, he activated his mutant ability and teleported in front of the rocket, grabbed it, and redirected it back towards the Sentinel, effectively saving the mob below as well as launching an attack against the gigantic robotic monster. An attack that strangely enough took out the Sentinel with no problem. Now on a side note, I gotta say this was kind of weird to see the Sentinel go down like that, due to a single RPG attack, considering how well it did against the entire X-Men team when they were first introduced. But anyway, getting back to the story. So with the Sentinel gone, the violence was far from over. Because both Nightcrawler and Spider-Man watched as Mystique attacks the mob while screaming for her baby. Now, despite the mob's transgressions towards mutants, Kurt couldn't sit back and just watch his mother murder a group of people no matter how he felt about them. So once again Kurt bamfed into action and used his soul sword to slice his mother's weapon in half as he tells her to stop, because eventually Orchis would send more Sentinels and maybe even Hounds. So with that warning out there, Mystique took off running, with Kurt hot on her trail. So as the two mutants run beyond the Sentinel's visual capabilities, we jump over to the Vulture talking to Silver Sable, watching everything go down. And following the feed cutting out, the Vulture lets Silver Sable know that time is running out for her. Because the contract is only fulfilled once Nightcrawler is caught by Silver Sable's team, so if for some reason the Vulture and Orchis manage to beat them to the punch, then her group would go without pay. So to end the conversation, the Vulture tells Silver Sable that she is starting to smell similar to her target. So speaking of Silver Sable smelling like her target, on the very next page, we see both her and Kurt having dinner on top of the bridge. And while the two is having dinner, Kurt is basically talking about all the things you would like to do with her, as well as some things that they could do moving forward to improve their situation. But that was when Sable gets serious and tells him, as much as she wants to just go with the flow, and just chat with him before he bamfs them away, to some cozy bed he had prepared somewhere for them. They really need to have a real talk, because from her perspective, she noticed that Kurt is doing everything in his power to focus on fighting muggers, fighting ridiculous low-level villains, improving his one-liners, and their relationship, instead of focusing on the most important things at this current moment, which is the betterment of his people, which is the betterment of mutant kind, and only once he has committed himself to their improvement will he actually find happiness. But that is when Kurt gets upset and proceeds to bamf away. But right before he was out in the clear, Sable grabs him before he leaps. So with them both appearing on the other side, Kurt and Sable continue their conversation. Kurt calls her a hypocrite because she put money at the heart of her code because it excuses her from morality. But no matter how much Kurt tries to flip the script on Sable, the fact of the matter is, Kurt's people still need him, from his mother right on down. But see, that is when Kurt really starts to get angry because he goes on to say, his people. Kurt spent his adult life sacrificing for his people. He spilled his blood, lost his soul, and for why? Because of a genetic quirk, a fatuous distinction between sentient beings that has caused more horror than any heart can bear. He has lived and died for the war his people did not start and declined to win. And where did it get them? Where did it get Kurt? Alone with bloody hands and a broken heart and left as a tribe of one. So Kurt doesn't want her to speak to him about needs, for he deserves to stop, he deserves to, but before he could finish, Sable took his face in her hands and placed a kiss on his lips. So with them both sharing a deep emotional bond, she lets him know that she will be there for him, but the world doesn't give a heck about what someone deserves. Because unfortunately, there are no coffee breaks for a good heart. But love isn't the only thing he needs. So with their conversation concluding, Silver Sable gets a distress call from one of her teammates, which causes her to leave. So with work calling Sable, she ended up making her way to the signal location where she ran into one of her teammates by the name Kramer, the same one who was dead set on stopping mutants, and when she confronted him, he immediately pulled out a pistol right in her face. But see, Silver Sable is a professional, so she asked him, what does he think he is doing? Because she can take his gun and break his spine in just 3 moves. And that is when he reveals to her that he has been following her and keeping tabs on her for the longest time. And through his investigation, he realized that she has been putting their payday at risk, which is something that goes directly against their code. Now on a side note, don't get it twisted, Kramer is not doing this for the benefit of the code. The reason why Kramer is so dead set on stopping Nightcrawler is because he blew his portion of the payday at the bar with no name prior to all this going down. But anyway, getting back to the story, we jump over to Kurt looking for Mystique, and when he finds her, she is sitting alone by a campfire once again, talking about how her baby is still missing. So right before they start to speak, we see the conversation between Kramer and Sable continue, and during their interaction, Sable tells Kramer that this is pointless because she has decided to cancel their contract and to return the money. But once again, Kramer had other plans in mind because he was dead set on finishing this contract with or without Sable being with them. So with Sable in a hard position, we jump back over to Kurt removing his mask and showing his face to his mother because it was past time for them to clear the air. And clear the air they did, in another issue by the name X-Men Blue Origins, which I will be covering shortly. But anyway, following that revelation, we skip over to the very next day with Silver Sables sitting on top of the tower, waiting for Kurt to show up because to the best of Kurt's knowledge, Silver Sable just wanted to talk. But unfortunately, that was not the plan. Because at that moment her team comes out in full force and proceeds to capture Nightcrawler, as she can only say that she is sorry for betraying her love. So following that, we pick up in the Orchis facility. And when we get there, we see how the Vulture is surprised that they were able to accomplish their mission, so being a man of his word, he proceeds to transfer the full amount of the payment to the contractors. Now following that, the team had some concern that maybe this could be Mystique instead of Kurt, due to her abilities. So just to verify that he is who they said he was, they brought him before a hound to conduct a test that he passed. So with Kurt being dragged away, the team was still concerned that Mystique was still out there and may attack. But that is when Kurt responds by saying, she will not come, she lost him a long time ago and she rather have the rage than the reunion. And in war, sooner or later everyone must choose their priorities, and love is not all you need. So with that said, this issue of Uncanny Spider-Man comes to an end. Now with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.